Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel France and Turkey in the Middle Ages. A tale of kingdoms, empires, and faith. The story of France and Turkey during the Middle Ages is one of power struggles, cultural transformation, and the lasting influence of religion. Both regions played pivotal roles in shaping European and Middle Eastern history, but their paths were vastly different, one evolving from the ruins of the Carolingian Empire, the other rising as a force that would eventually transform the Byzantine world. The birth of France. From fractured kingdom to emerging power. The formation of France was not instantaneous. It was a slow, turbulent process marked by shifting borders and political intrigue. After the death of Charlemagne, the Carolingian Empire, once the dominant force in Western Europe, began to crumble. The Treaty of Verdun in 843 split the empire among Charlemagne's grandsons, giving rise to West Francia, the early foundation of modern France. In the early medieval period, the Frankish kings had little real power. The true authority lay with regional lords who ruled their lands almost independently. However, this feudal system gradually changed with the rise of the Capetian dynasty. When Hugh Capet ascended to the throne in 987, he controlled little beyond the Île-de-France region. Yet, over centuries, the Capetians worked tirelessly to consolidate royal power, expanding their influence through strategic marriages, alliances, and military campaigns. The Hundred Years' War, 1337–1453, against England was a defining conflict for medieval France. Though devastating, it ultimately strengthened French identity and led to the rise of centralized monarchy. The legendary figures of Joan of Arc, the warrior maiden who rallied France against English occupation, and King Charles VII, who reclaimed lost territories, helped solidify France as a unified kingdom. The rise of Turkish power. From steppe warriors to empire builders, while France was solidifying its monarchy, Turkish tribes were forging their own destiny in the east. The medieval Turkish story begins with nomadic Turkic peoples migrating westward from Central Asia. Among them, the Seljuks, a powerful Turkic dynasty, established dominance over Persia and the Middle East in the 11th century. The turning point for Turkish influence in the medieval world came in 1071 at the Battle of Manzikert. The Seljuk Turks, led by Alp Arslan, decisively defeated the Byzantine Empire and opened the gates of Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, to Turkish settlement. This event triggered one of the most significant transformations in medieval history, the gradual Turkification and Islamization of Anatolia, which had been a Byzantine stronghold for centuries. The Seljuks established the Sultanate of Rum, a powerful Turkish state that controlled much of Anatolia. However, their decline in the 13th century paved the way for the rise of another formidable force, the Ottoman Empire. By the late Middle Ages, the Ottomans, led by Osman I, began expanding their influence, laying the foundation for an empire that would eventually dominate the region for centuries. France and the Crusades, a shared history with the Turks, one of Yas. The key intersections of French and Turkish history in the Middle Ages was the Crusades. France was a dominant player in the Crusader movement, with French knights and nobles taking part in nearly every major campaign. Leaders like Godfrey of Bouillon, Baldwin of Boulogne, and King Louis IX, Saint Louis, were instrumental in the Uwais fight for the Holy Land. On the other side, the Turks, first the Seljuks and later the Ottomans, were central to resisting these invasions. The First Crusade, 1096–1099, saw Crusaders capturing Jerusalem, but Turkish forces, along with other Muslim leaders like Saladin, eventually reclaimed much of the region. The long struggle between Crusaders and Turkish-led armies shaped the geopolitics of both Europe and the Middle East. Conclusion: the foundations of modern nations. By the end of the Middle Ages, both France and the Turkish world had transformed dramatically. France emerged as a powerful centralized kingdom, while the Turks, once nomadic warriors, were on the brink of creating an empire that would shape world history. The echoes of these medieval struggles are still visible today, from the castles of France to the mosques of Istanbul. The story of France and Turkey in the Middle Ages is not just about kings and sultans. It's about the shifting tides of history, the rise and fall of empires, and the lasting impact of cultures that shaped the modern world. The rise of medieval France. From chaos to a centralized kingdom, the medieval history of France is a saga of invasions, internal struggles, and hard-fought victories that shaped the kingdom's destiny. From the Viking raids of the 9th century to the Hundred Years' War, France's evolution was marked by constant conflict and gradual centralization of royal power. Viking invasions and the birth of Normandy in the 9th and 10th centuries. The French kingdom, then known as West Francia, faced brutal invasions from the Vikings, Norse seafarers who launched devastating raids along the Seine River. Cities like Rouen and Paris were repeatedly sacked, and the Frankish rulers struggled to repel these attacks. To bring stability, King Charles the Simple took a bold approach in 911. He signed the Treaty of Saint-Clair-sur-Epte with the Viking leader Rollo, granting the Norsemen land in northern France. In exchange, Rollo pledged loyalty to the French king and converted to Christianity. This agreement led to the creation of Normandy, a region that would later play a key role in European history, most notably when Duke William the Conqueror invaded England in 1066, feudal chaos and the rise of the Capetians. Despite the Viking threat subsiding, France was far from stable. The monarchy remained weak, overshadowed by powerful feudal lords who controlled vast territories. The Capetian dynasty, beginning with Hugh Capet in 987, faced the daunting task of unifying a fragmented realm. For generations, French kings had limited authority outside their own small domains, relying on diplomacy, strategic marriages, and military campaigns to expand their influence. A turning point came under Philip II, Philip Augustus, R. 1180–1223, one of the most successful medieval French monarchs. Philip aggressively expanded the royal domain by reclaiming lands from King John of England, reducing the power of rival lords and strengthening the monarchy. His victory at the Battle of Bouvines in 1214 cemented French dominance over much of its territory, marking a major shift in power dynamics between France and England. The Hundred Years' War, defining France's national identity. One of the most defining conflicts in French medieval history was the Hundred Years' War, 1337–1453, a prolonged struggle against England that shaped France's national identity. Rooted in disputes over the French crown and territorial claims, the war saw dramatic shifts in power, betrayals, and legendary figures emerging on both sides. At the war's lowest point, France was in crisis. The English, led by Edward III and later Henry V, won decisive victories at Crécy, 1346, Poitiers, 1356, and Agincourt, 1415. Large portions of northern France, including Paris, fell under English control. The Treaty of Troyes, 1420, even declared Henry V of England as the heir to the French throne, threatening the very existence of France as an independent kingdom. But, in the darkest hour, a remarkable figure changed the course of history: Joan of Arc. A teenage peasant girl from Domremy, she claimed to receive divine visions instructing her to aid the Dauphin, Charles VII. Against all odds, she convinced the French court to grant her an army and led them to a crucial victory at the Siege of Orléans in 1429. Her leadership inspired the French to rally against English rule, culminating in Charles VII's coronation at Reims. Though Joan was captured by the Burgundians, French allies of England, handed over to the English and executed for heresy in 1431, her legacy endured. The war turned decisively in France's favor, with Charles VII reclaiming Paris in 1436 and launching campaigns that eventually expelled the English from nearly all French territories, except Calais. By 1453, the war ended, solidifying France as a unified kingdom. The late Middle Ages, France emerges as a powerhouse. By the end of the Middle Ages, France had undergone a profound transformation. The monarchy, once weak and overshadowed by feudal lords, had become a centralized force, with the king reigning supreme. Charles VII's successors, particularly Louis XIV, or 1461 to 1483, continued consolidating power, reducing noble influence, and expanding the kingdom's reach. With its borders secure and internal stability restored, France was now poised to become one of Europe's dominant powers. The lessons of the Middle Ages, of resilience, warfare, and state-building, would shape its future, leading into the grandeur of the Renaissance and beyond. Meanwhile, in Anatolia and the surrounding regions, the foundations of modern Turkey were being laid by the rise of the Seljuk Turks, and later, the Ottoman Empire. The Seljuk Turks, originally from Central Asia, migrated into Persia and Anatolia. In the 11th century, defeating the Byzantine Empire at the Battle of Manzikert in 1071. This victory opened the door for Turkish settlement in Anatolia, gradually transforming the region from a Byzantine stronghold to a Turkish-dominated land. The Seljuks established the Sultanate of Rum, which ruled over much of Anatolia until the Mongol invasions in the 13th century weakened their power. Out of the fragmented Anatolian beyliks, the Ottomans emerged as a dominant force in the late 13th and early 14th centuries. Under Osman I, the small Ottoman state began expanding, and by the mid-14th century they had crossed into Europe, capturing key cities in the Balkans. The conquest of Constantinople in 1453 by Mehmed II marked a turning point in world history, as the Byzantine Empire fell and the Ottomans established themselves as a major power. The empire continued to expand, reaching its height in the 16th century under Suleiman the Magnificent, controlling vast territories across the Middle East, North Africa, and Europe. Both France and the Ottoman Empire were shaped by their cultural and religious influences. France remained a deeply Catholic kingdom, with the Church playing a crucial role in governance and society. The Crusades, which saw French knights take a leading role, further reinforced France's Christian identity and its connection to the broader European world. At the same time, the Ottoman Empire embraced Islam as a central pillar of its rule, incorporating diverse religious communities through the millet system, which allowed Christians and Jews a degree of autonomy under Ottoman authority. Language, law, and administration also played a crucial role in shaping these nations. In France, the centralization of power led to the development of a standardized legal system and a growing sense of national identity tied to the French language and culture. The Ottomans, on the other hand, governed a vast, multi-ethnic empire, using a highly organized bureaucracy that incorporated Persian, Arab, and Turkish influences. By the end of the Middle Ages, France had emerged as a strong and unified kingdom, while the Ottomans had established a vast empire that would dominate Eurasian geopolitics for centuries. These two nations, though developing in different ways, both played crucial roles in shaping the course of history through war, diplomacy, and cultural exchange. Thank you for watching this video.